Brace yourself, brave viewers, for the boundaries of reality and cosmos are about to blur. Welcome to a spine-tingling episode of Buddy Shotz Podcast. Tonight, we embark on an interstellar odyssey, delving deep into the heart of Beyond the Black Rainbow and No. Prepare to traverse the cosmic void where technology and terror collide, and the unknown awaits in the inky blackness of space, from extraterrestrial horrors to dystopian nightmare, from alien invasions to twisted experiments. We explore the darkest corners of science fiction's sinister side. Will you join us on this journey into the abyss of sci-fi horror? I present to you the tale of Sci-Fi Horror Week.
Nope. Holy shit! Okay. Okay, we're recording on all fronts. An all-front attack.
Welcome to Halloween week
Month.
once again. But the week is part of a month.
It's true, but it's not a week.
It's true facts.
And, yeah. Enjoy the dulcet tones of rain.
The spookiest weather.
Speaking of which, what do you think is the spookiest weather for you? You don't like? I like snow, personally.
Yeah, snow can be spooky.
Okay, so,
Sci-fi horror week.
yeah. This is 141. We've watched it. We've been entertained. Now it's time for us to entertain the people watching this. Everybody, please subscribe. You know, I don't ask for much, but what I do ask for is your undying loyalty to Buddy Shotz.
That seems like a lot.
Not really.
Undying?
Yeah. I don't ask.
promise,
I don't
I will
ask.
never
I don't ask anything less of you as a friend. Your undying loyalty to me as a friend, as a buddy.
I will never die.
That's the buddy pact. We need to come up with a better slogan. The buddy. I don't know.
The buddy bond.
Yes! Perfect. The buddy bond. The double BB. Or I guess that would be 4. It's like people online that are like triple H, but they put 3 H's, so it's 9 H's. Okay, so let's talk about the poll here for this week. We've got Black Rainbow, 33% yes, 67% no. So we have people that have seen it.
Surprised.
And then that people have seen it.
Yeah.
And then it was actually the exact opposite for Nope. It was 67% yes and 33% no.
Cool.
I should have put Nope. I fucked up.
Start over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this week. I think it's going to be fun to talk about both of these movies.
Yeah, for sure. I'm like, I actually didn't watch them. I fucked up.
But I think maybe we start with Beyond the Black Rainbow.
Yeah,
Because
for sure.
Nope is more of a rollicking good time, I think. So.
Yeah, I think there's more for me.
We'll
to
eat
talk
our
about.
vegetables, and then we'll have our dessert. So I've been wanting to
And
pick.
meat.
This was my choice. I've been wanting to pick this for a long time because like I'm fascinated by this movie. Like I watched it when it came out and I couldn't even get through it. Like I kept falling asleep because it's super like slow paced and like kind of trippy and weird. And I watched it multiple times, and each time like it would put me in a trance, and like I would be like, "Did I even watch that movie?" Like, I just kept thinking about it over the years, so I wanted to pick it and see what you thought.
Was it like a tough situation for you where you weren't sure?
No, I knew that I liked it. I knew it was good, but it was just such a unique movie, and it's like almost like very dreamlike. And it's just stuck in my mind for whatever reason.
Okay.
So, what did you think?
I thought it was okay.
Yeah?
I'm glad you told me, like...
Be prepared for a tough watch.
If I had literally started watching this just on Amazon Prime, I would have never finished it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, ugh. But having gone into it, like, knowing that, like you said, it was going to be very, like...
This is probably, like, the most artistic movie we've ever watched, for better or worse.
Yeah.
But I think it definitely rewards maybe multiple viewings. I don't know. For me, it's one of those movies I just keep thinking about. And maybe today we can try to understand why.
Why you keep thinking about it? Okay, well,
I don't know.
Lay down on the couch and I'll sit over here and I'll be your therapist. I'll be... But yeah, so what the hell is Beyond the Black Rainbow? So this is a 2010 Canadian science fiction horror film written and directed by Panos Cosmatos.
Panos Cosmatos, son of
So that's what I said!
George P. Cosmatos, legendary Hollywood director.
Well, if he's so legendary, what has he done?
He did Tombstone and Cobra.
Nice.
Some big movies in the 80s and 90s.
So he did a film based on Undertaker's finishing movie?
And there's rumors that like he didn't even direct that. Like Kurt Russell took over and
Oh,
actually
really?
directed Tombstone. That's a rumor. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Anyway, so
Still, had some big movies to his credit.
So the main stars in this film are Michael Rogers as like the main doctor guy, and Eva Allan as the drugged up psycho, not a psycho, but somebody that has like psychic powers. Despite being under heavy sedation, a young woman tries to make her way out of the Arboria Institute, a secluded quasi-futuristic commune.
Yeah, she's heavily sedated through most of this movie, so it's like when your main character is under heavy sedation almost the whole time, it like makes for a tough watch because she's pretty much just like comatose.
She's like 24 hours ago, I wanna be sedated, and everyone's just like, oh.
It almost like is. I feel like I was sedated when I was watching this movie. Like it just makes you fall asleep.
You know, one thing that once I kind of got through all the film is like it kind of reminded me like that this could have been a prequel to like Stranger Things season 1. I was like, this is like a pre-Stranger Things because the way it ends and everything, which we'll talk about. But I was just like, and it takes place in 1983, so I was like, this is a very interesting thing. I wonder if the people that made that saw this movie and then were like, because that's
it's possible.
Yeah. Because of the whole institute thing and having like a lady that has like a psychic gift and stuff.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's one thing I really like about this movie is like it feels very much like 1983, but somehow a futuristic version,
right?
Which is kind of interesting. But it definitely puts you in a different world, and I think I just like the world of this movie. You know what I mean? Plus, it's right around when we were born.
Yeah, I think if they hadn't put when this took place or whatever, it wouldn't have been like. I think it probably would have been more shocking at the end.
Yeah, that ending is
because where it comes out and you see where they are and stuff. But
that's true.
Which I think I almost for some reason I would almost make a case that might have been like the better play. They really never tell you what time it took place, and then you kind of find out on your own.
I think you could be right.
I think it's like the better way to do like what they did in like at least my personal opinion of like how like the village ended or whatever. But anyway, so I guess we'll get more into this film. But like they play a film reel in which like the guy that started this whole thing, like Dr. Arborio, he like is essentially like wanting to create happiness for people and inner happiness and peace and stuff, and essentially, I think as you go on, you kind of find out it's more of like almost seems like not really a cult, but it kind of is because of the way that like
definitely creepy cult vibes.
Yeah, the way that like things are, and it's almost. I mean, it seems like certain things work and certain things don't, but things aren't really explained that much in this film.
Yeah,
so,
that's for sure. Like, what the hell is that triangle thing? Like, that's just the source of power, I guess? I mean, they keep showing it over and over again. I'm like,
I get the feeling they had, like, a lot of ideas and stuff in this film. I
mean, they're, like, 3/4 of the way through the movie, it just turns into, like, a weird, trippy, like, music video almost. There's, like, melting,
like a zombie film.
Melting faces, and it's like, I don't even know what's happening.
Yeah.
But I like it. What did you think of Michael Rogers as Barry Nile?
So if they didn't have this character in this film, I would have been like, this is the worst film I've ever seen in my life.
He makes it like
because there's nothing to attach to in this film, really. I mean, at the end of the day, because like you're just watching a bunch of images that somebody put on the screen, but with him, it's like
the main character who doesn't talk.
There's actually a narrative and stuff that's kind of happening in this film through him. He's essentially like the bad guy in this film, which is pretty cool that like they they went with that and stuff, but like it's kind of one of those things where like if they didn't have this character in the film, I would have been like, what the fuck?
There's nothing to really.
It would just be like a student film in college or something that somebody just put together, and I'd be like, that's fine. But
yeah, I totally agree. He makes the movie. I think he's like super scary, but also hilarious.
Yeah,
like it's just a very weird. He's like. I can't even describe the character. He's just like a huge jerk.
It reminds me of like the guy from American Psycho. He's very like he has himself put together on the outside, but then you like
there's simmering rage underneath. There's like he's barely controlling and taking pills to like control his...
to control that, and then you find
psycho.
other stuff about him later that it's kind of like it seems he takes pleasure in like treating his patients like shit.
Yeah. And even his employee, like he's a jerk to like the nurse or whatever.
I thought she looked a lot like the actress that played like Barb in Stranger Things season 1, which is another weird connection. I was like, maybe it was just the way that people dressed in the 80s, which they did a pretty good job of showing houses and stuff, that looked
80s style.
Yeah. And just the way that, like, when he drives his car, it's a very 80s car and stuff.
Yeah, totally. That's one of my favorite scenes when he goes home for the night and like, talks to his wife. And he's like, oh, steamed broccoli sounds great.
Yeah. For the longest time, I thought that was, like, his mother.
Yeah.
So until I, like, went out on IMDb to put the information down for this.
I mean, they don't really make it super clear.
Yeah, so I didn't really know. I was like,
could have been.
Is this his wife or his mother? But online it said it was his wife. So it's like, okay, whatever. Yeah, he takes his pills and becomes sinister. He's a sinister minister. I'm sorry you never got to meet your mother. She was a beautiful woman. She was a desirable woman. Hey, would you like a photo of her? You might. It's like, you might see one in your room. I put, he's being a pervert. She says, I want to see my father. Because she only speaks in, like, through people's minds. And, like, they have a device, which I think that's what that triangle thing possibly was, to either activate the robots or to, like, keep her, like, mind, like a thing to keep her, like, powers at bay or whatever. Because later on, there's a part where she, like, fucks somebody up with just her mind. So it's, like, but she doesn't speak to people. She only talks to them like in their minds or whatever. And it seems like when she does it, people are like, kind of fucked up about it.
Did you notice? I forget what scene it was, but early on, like there was like moans in the background, like Day of the Dead style, and I got scared. But then there was also whale noises, and I was like, "Oh, Mike's probably loving this whale noise." What's one of your favorite things?
Yeah, I was like, "Wow, this is great." Yeah, I was. Yeah, there was a lot of like weird moaning in this, and not all of it was like from other patients. sometimes there were like moans of ecstasy, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So there's like kind of a conspiracy or something that kind of happens where some lady like pushes a button and then like a folder comes out with a bunch of weird evidence and she like reads it. That's as close as you get in this film to kind of figuring out what's going on, but even that, it's like none of it's really in English and you can't really tell what the fuck is going on, so it's like
but she made one mistake, dropping a cigarette ash.
Yeah, she gets like killed for fucking accident, like for the computer fucking up and giving her evidence or something. But like the doctor gets a phone call and goes into work, and that's is like when he finds out, you know. Essentially, I think it's like the computer is like, hey, somebody like she knows, so now we need to fucking kill her or something.
What'd you think of the score in this movie?
It was good.
Yeah, I love it. I think it elevates the movie like 3-letter grades. It's so awesome. It's very John Carpenter-esque. I'm sure that they were influenced by him.
I think anything synth is pretty much, you know. He sucks up a pill from a tube and moans. Yeah. It's just the way he does everything in this film too.
He's
It's
acting
so
like
weird.
his ass off. Like,
Yeah.
just like hamming it up in every possible scene.
Probably because he knew if he did in this film would be shit. Somebody snuck an object into her room. And it's like, who? I don't know, Margo.
That was so fun.
I was like, okay, is this like a line from fucking Christmas Vacation?
Yeah, that is a
I was
line
like,
from
what?
Christmas Vacation.
Is this your mother? Did she die? Good. Eat your dinner. What a bitch. Then she gets brain blasted. She says, stop, please. R.I.P.
Yeah. At one point, they mentioned the devil's teardrop. Did they ever explain what that was?
That's the knife.
Oh.
But
Nice.
I only knew that because I had to go online because they don't explain it.
Yeah, I've seen this movie like 4 times and I had no idea.
There's like a point at which like I understand, you know, you don't explain stuff in a film, but like this kind of like pushes it. Where it's
It does.
Like,
It does for sure.
they have a thing that like, so they run a program and it says, run program, Sentinauts.
Activate something.
I was like, what?
That's probably my favorite part of this movie. It's super scary. Like
They're
it's very
essentially just
creepy.
like these dudes in like red helmets and suits, Daft Punk.
Mm-hmm.
At first you think they're robots, but then like maybe they are, but like
There's
later
a weird
on,
baby inside.
they like take their face off and it's like a person that's like it's like you said, it's like a baby. It's like, oh. And it like massages her neck and then ejects her, and I was like, doctor looking on like a freak. A lot of red in this film. So then we meet Doctor, the guy that like runs this place,
Dr. Arboria.
Whoa. He's watching like an old 70s resort video, and there's a ton of needles everywhere, so he's just been like injecting himself essentially to keep himself alive and to be like feeling good. And it's like the doctor that's like the main guy is like saddened and sickened by his like old mentor that's now become like just a sick, you know,
Yeah.
sick man.
So then he turns into a mud man? Like, what was up with that?
That was later, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But like he does like his best Homelander because he's like sickened by him. He's like,
Yeah.
okay. But yeah, so like this interaction is like he's like, you look well, and he's like, so do you, doctor, and he's just like, you know, no need to lie to an old man I know. I've seen better days.
Nice.
That was the first thing I could think of when I fucking saw this part. I was just like, what? But they show like a flashback from 1966 where he like essentially first like recruits this other guy, which like I was almost like is this guy like immortal or something? Like what's going on? Because he looks exact same. I don't know if they just did an Austin Powers 3 where they just with the old man. But he puts like a liquid in his tongue, and then he like you said, he goes into this like sludge and starts crawling around and stuff. and like comes out of it, and he like bites this like the lady on the neck that ends up being like the mother of like the lady that's and I said another victim of Armus.
Yes, you beat me to it. I was about to reference Armus. Strong Armus vibes.
Yeah,
man, I miss that guy.
I don't.
He needs his own spin-off series. I think I've said that before.
Yeah, I don't know if you're kidding or not.
I'm a Armus head.
An Armus head of like the stupidest
my favorite
character. So yeah, that was another scene that was kind of like he comes out and starts crying and he's like puking up all kinds of weird oil or something. And like the old man gets injected like on his feet because he like doesn't want to see like the marks, and his feet are like black, and I'm like, dude, this is fucking gross.
Yeah, that is great.
But like when he gets injected, he's like Tim Curry in The Worst Witch. He's like, oh yeah. But he's watching like an old Hawaii like film or whatever, where it's like documentary. Very interesting stuff. It's like, okay.
My last question I had was, what is Barry? Because he turns into like a goblin.
Yeah.
What, is he human? Like what? What do you think?
He looks like the Green Goblin, or no, he doesn't look like the Green Goblin, but like
he looks like Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah. I don't know, cause like there's a thing where it's like you need to wear your appliances or something, and like, or you're not wearing them, and like he takes out like his eyes and his like, what else does he do?
His wig.
Yeah, like he's wearing like a wig, but the wig is like held on by like gack,
like nasty glue.
Yeah.
But I mean, the dude shaved his eyebrows for real. Like, props to this guy. Like, he went all out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just interesting because like it just doesn't explain like what the hell.
But he's wearing like some weird like leather suit.
Yeah.
He's
like almost turns into a Hellraiser.
Turns into like an X-Men from like the first X-Men film or something. But he's like cowering in the corner looking like a fucking Lex Luthor. Yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, I think that's one thing about this film. They don't really explain. They don't even really explain if like the girl has powers or if like they did something to like her with like the machines they have there. They get when she gets killed. So it's like, yeah.
When she escaped the facility and was like climbing up that tower or whatever,
yeah,
it was like I was getting strong THX vibes.
Yeah, I felt like this film was straight up like a THX kind of film.
I'm sure that was a big influence.
But yeah, she's essentially going from like room to room here, like you said, escaping like the shaft, and then she goes into like a room with a dead body mummy. And then it's like ends up being alive, and it's like a fucking zombie moaning or something.
It's like a monster man
biter.
That part, usually by that point in the movie, I'm like almost asleep, and then that guy pops up and like scares the crap out of me. So, like jolts me back into it. Like, whoa.
You're like, whoa. I'm like, you son of a bitch.
But like, what was the deal with that dude? It's just like a random monster.
Yeah, I don't know.
Was he maybe under experiments, other kinds of experiments or something?
I don't know. I got the feeling that like the people that like they used got turned into those like robot things. So it's like maybe he was in the process of being turned into a robot or something. I don't know. It's a bunch of random shit in this film that like, yeah, it's just weird. But yeah, she kind of like finds out she's in like this dome or whatever, and then she like gets out into the actual world for the first time, and he like goes to look for her and he sniffs the bed. It's like,
you couldn't get any creepier.
Yeah. But he ends up killing two like dudes that are just like two buddies out in the woods.
So I think that's really a cool thing about this movie is it's so a jarring shift when they go out into the real world and there's just like 80s stoner metalheads like Beavis and Buttheading it up. I'm like, okay, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
It's a funny scene though.
Yeah, because it's essentially like the rest of the world is just like normal 80s, and this place was like just a fucked up place where they were doing some experiments and stuff. And he like kills the shit out of these two dudes. He like, yeah. It's fucked up. And then, like, the funniest part of the movie happens where he fucking kills himself. He, like, falls and breaks his own neck. It's like, what?
I think that's hilarious.
The first time you saw that, what'd you think?
I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I was like,
But I also think, like, because I've never seen that in a movie where the very ending, the main bad guy trips and kills himself.
Well, there's no, like, actual conflict. It's just, like, he kills himself.
I think it's super funny, but do you think it also was, like, a cop-out?
I don't know. By that point, I was pretty much, like, whatever they end up doing is they've already done a bunch of, like, weird shit in this film, so whatever they do now, it's not like I'm gonna have not like I'd have any more problem with it than the other stuff they did, you know what I mean? Like, I could see how, like, I guess if you were, like, a super huge fan of that character and you were, like, you know, wanting to see him maybe, like, do more stuff, or, like, I don't know, I guess his end goal is to kill her or have sex with her, so
Sure
I
seems
guess
that
if
way.
you wanted to see her get, like, raped or killed, then yeah, it's a cop-out, but I don't know, I thought it was kind of funny. I felt like that kind of was appropriate for his character, because his character was kind of like,
In the end, he's just like a dumbass.
well,
like
he's
a
just
failure.
I feel like he was just kind of used and abused by the one dude, and like he slowly was being driven insane by everything that happened and stuff, and then it all led up to that, and it just kind of I don't know. When you saw it, were you kind of like, what the fuck?
No, I loved it. I thought it was
Okay.
hilarious. I really like that ending. It's unique, but I could see an argument where someone would be like, "Well, that's kind of a cop out."
I mean,
He
if
just
you've
trips and
watched this
falls for no
whole
reason.
fucking film and like a bunch of time is wasted on stuff that like is okay sometimes, and sometimes it's awesome, like, you know, depending on what you think about it, like, and that happens. I mean, for me, I was happy that they actually did something that had a meaning to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I enjoy like more artistic stuff. Like I don't mind where it's just like a collection of images. I think that's really cool. Like one I called out specifically was like there's a shot of like a galaxy, and then it fades into like her face,
Yeah.
and then it fades into like this weird insect. Like
Yeah.
it's not necessary, but I thought it was cool looking. So I think stuff like that, I enjoy it.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I have less tolerance for that stuff sometimes because I feel like it doesn't really have a place in a narrative-driven thing. But I think it's fine to see it. It's just like I feel like it's like anybody could do that, so it's not something I really like appreciate all that much. But I don't think that it in a movie like this, it's like it's not like it was out of place. The whole film was essentially like that. It was like the majority of this film was like just random images and stuff happening and like, you know, trippy sequences, and like really the only thing in the film that had like a cohesive story was like the doctor or whatever. So he was like the glue that held the student film together.
Yep.
But like
I love the ending shot though, the final shot, the one I sent you. It was so cool. It's like it somehow was scary to me because even though she escaped, like the doctor, there was something like unsettling about it because it's like all these 80s houses, and it's dark, and there's like a window on in one of the houses, and it's like, it's very uncertain.
Yeah.
But I thought it looks awesome. And the end credit song was sweet, too.
Yeah, the end credit song was legit.
I wrote down who it was.
It was like Miscellaneous by SSQ.
Yeah, Anonymous by SSQ.
Miscellaneous. Pretty much same thing.
Great song.
Yep, for sure.
So yeah, for me, like, I think these movies are definitely my jam.
Sexual.
This director, Panos Cosmatos, his movie he made after this was Mandy with Nick Cage.
Oh, nice.
And he elevated like way beyond. This was like a promising start, but Mandy was like a true masterpiece.
I think that's all Nick Cage.
You'll need to see it at some point because it's kind of similar trippiness.
Yeah,
but
I mean Nick Cage.
When you inject
if Nick Cage was in this film, it would have been like
right. But I still really enjoyed this movie. I'm gonna go 8.95.
There you have it. Cool, man. I'm glad you liked it. I'll probably do like a 6.95.
Okay.
I liked a lot of stuff about this, but as usual, when like they explore stuff and then like certain things aren't really fleshed out, like I think that only gets enough credit with me. where I'm like,
I think that's why I just keep thinking about it over
Yeah.
time, because I'm like, what? I don't understand.
I mean, there's that's the thing is like, yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in this film, but there's also stuff where I'm like, man, it would have just been nice if they had just explained like 5% more of what was going on, because they, like you said, it's like a really cool and interesting imagery, but I don't think that's enough sometimes to make like a film.
Fair enough.
But I do agree, like the end, and I like the best part for me was like the end credits and like
Put that on the poster. The best part was the end credits. Highly endorsed.
the music or whatever, and the end credits song and the doctor character.
Yeah.
The only problem, like I said, was just like it was cool seeing these robots, but there was really no explanation. And same thing with a bunch of other stuff, like the oil stuff. I was like, that's really cool. What happened with that? And it's like, oh, no explanation. Okay, on to the next scene. But I'm glad. Hopefully, I want everybody though that watches this to watch it at least, to make your own mind up about it, because I thought it was interesting as hell.
Cool.
And if I may say so, sexy as hell.
Should we move on to the
Next film?
Yeah.
Nope.
Oh!
Stylized in all caps from 2022, from last year. It's a neo-western science fiction horror film written and directed and produced by Jordan Peele under his and Ian Cooper's Monkey Paw production banner. So this film stars Daniel Kaluuya, Keke Palmer, as horse wrangling siblings attempting to capture evidence of an unidentified flying object in Agua Dulce, California. Appearing in supporting roles, Steven Yeun, Michael Wincock, Brandon Perea, and Keith David. So.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when I heard Keith David or when I first heard him, I was like, oh my god, dude, Keith David's in this film.
Hell yeah.
Because you could just hear, as soon as I heard him, I was just like, I know.
Yeah.
Like before you see him on film.
Instantly recognizable.
But this film actually starts up with something that doesn't have anything to do with that. At least that part of the film, it starts up with they're filming a sitcom, and then like this chimp fucking has beaten the shit out of people. It's like, I think it's based on that like case years ago of that lady that went to that like her friend's house, and like one of the chimps kind of like ripped her face off and stuff.
It was her pet, I think.
Yeah, it just went. It was like an ape out in the woods. It was like, hey guys. It was the ape comes out of the woods.
Ape.
He was like. But yeah, exactly. You called it on that.
My question to you is: should we have saved this movie for Monkey March?
Coming
Coming 2024.
from April. Should we do that a whole year of monkey films at some
A
point?
whole year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
You call my bluff.
Yeah. I'll be down to do it. We just got to find fucking 52 monkey films.
So I saw this movie when it came out, and I enjoyed it.
Nice.
I had some problems with it, but watching it again, like, I liked it even way better second time. Like, this is an awesome movie, dude.
Nice.
This
Yeah.
is great. I still have some minor criticisms, but we'll get to that.
Nice.
But had you seen this before? Or
No.
You'd wanted to see it?
Yeah, I wanted to see this, and that's why I didn't look up anything about this or Beyond the Black Rainbow when you said
Nice.
that was going to be your pick. Because what I usually do is when I do the notes, is I go into like IMDb and Wikipedia and like kind of like type out like the info about like the movie, so I have something to say what it is and stuff. But I didn't want to do that so I wouldn't get any
That's the best way to do
things about like, I mean, if it's a movie I've already seen or I already know something about it, like the setup on IMDb isn't going to give it away.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this, I didn't know anything about it other than the people were looking up, because this was like Godzilla. For whatever reason, in all the marketing, I never like in the stuff after that, I was never spoiled by like what the thing looked like or what it was or like what they're even looking at, or you know what I mean. So
Nice. That's great.
I don't know how in this day and age that happened, but his other films kind of were the same way for me. I mean, I did see his other two films in theaters. This one I just didn't. I think probably because of everything going on and stuff. But
How does this one stack up to did you like his other movies?
yeah, I like the other two a lot. it's funny. I think he's kind of like, for me, like the new John Carpenter, because, or not the new, but he's like in that same vein where like he'll take a premise and like make it his own and make it like flip it on its head, where it's like kind of like, you know, we'll get into it, but like with John Carpenter, no one made like a vampire film like him. No one makes like an alien film like him, and it's like it makes you be like, wait a minute. And I feel like this was exactly the same as far as like, I didn't see like that coming as far as like what it actually would be. So
yeah, I'm all in on Jordan Peele. Like, anytime he makes a new movie, I'm there. Like, I'm pumped.
I wonder what his next one will be.
I looked it up.
It'll be yes.
It's called Untitled 2024 Jordan Peele Project.
I wonder what that one's gonna be. That's cool though. I mean, I'm glad that his stuff has been like successful enough for him to keep doing what he does with this, because like him and Key went from doing like their show, and he was able to like make these films, and I think that like as funny as their stuff was, I think this is definitely like where he belongs, is doing this kind of stuff, because it's
he's great at it.
So good.
There's some pretty good behind the scenes stuff that I watched on this, and like he was talking about how he wanted to make the sky in this movie like the water in Jaws, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, and I think that kind of works. But he was also like, I'm making this movie partially because I have a huge budget and a mainly black cast and a black director. That's good.
Yeah.
So like, props, man.
I think it's legit that he's able to kind of like, I don't know, do what he wants and stuff. And I think that's something that like, sadly, I think that's the biggest thing, is like just him and Carpenter just being able to kind of like have their vision and stuff. Most of the time.
For better or worse.
Yeah. And I think, I don't think there's any worse in that so far, from what I can remember, for like, you know, what I've seen of his stuff. So keep on doing what you're doing, man. I'm like, if you're watching this podcast, do you think you watched the podcast? You were like, so I was getting some like Resident Evil vibes here at the beginning, because it was like there was a thing in the background that was like missing hikers, and I was like, fucking Arklay Mountain style, Spencer's Mansion, where people went up there and the zombies were like, they were like, on this day, fucking that fucking video. Oh my god. So yeah, this movie's kind of like, you know, it kind of just starts off by like just simple talking and stuff, and people interacting, and they're like, do you hear that sound? And then they've got like weird rocks and stuff starts coming out of the sky, and it seems like everything that is done in this film is done like with a purpose, as far as like setting up shots and stuff. Like, they don't just pan over and see like Keith David like on the ground. He's like on his horse and he's not responding, and the horse is like walking and he's still on the horse, and then it like gets to a point and he slides off, and you're like, oh shit, something's wrong. And his son runs over to him, and it's like he got hit in the head with like something that fell out of the sky. And then when they cut to like the doctor's office or the hospital, and he's like dead, and like his eye's gone, and like there's like a coin like that they got out of his head or whatever, and it's like,
that's one thing that bugs me about this movie, because like that's an urban legend. Like, if you drop a coin off the Empire State Building, it would kill. Like, it wouldn't. So like, I don't know why they chose to do that in this movie, because like, that's been debunked.
But that doesn't have anything to do with the Empire State Building.
Well, I'm just saying, a coin dropped from the sky would not kill someone. Like, science has proven that that's not what would happen. So,
well, I mean, not necessarily. I mean, if you were to like, I was under the assumption that like, obviously, if you were to just drop it, but like, I was under the assumption that like this thing was spitting the shit out so hard that it was like lodging itself and stuff.
Okay.
Because there's a point at which like there's a key that's like stuck in the horse's like ass, and it's like, and same thing with like later on in the film when it like spits stuff out, stuff gets stuck in like the walls and then like the. So I assume that like when it either like forcefully like spits or like shits the stuff out or whatever. At least that's what I thought. I thought it was like,
I didn't think about that, but
because if it just, I agree, if it had just dropped, it would like make no sense. But like if it was something where like, you know, essentially something was like that's huge was like shitting forcefully like stuff out that was not, you know, it would probably do some damage.
All right. Nice retconning.
Well, I just think that's what it is.
No, that's fair enough. So what do you think of
but it
like
was.
overall? Well, the first time I saw this, I was like, that movie was really cool, but like, I don't know that the stuff with the monkey like really meshed with the rest of the movie, and I was like, why did they could have just deleted that, and it would have been just as good. But I don't know if that's really true. I think the more I thought about it, and after watching it again, I think it is interesting. What do you think of that?
So, I agree with you that like, if you know the first, I could totally see like the first time if you watch it, you're like, what the fuck? Why is this even in the phone? But like, I think like this film kind of shifts from it being like, you know, alien, like, you know, like a ship to an alien to like an animal. Mm-hmm. So they kind of treat it more, which is weird because that's something you almost never see in like sci-fi alien films. You never see them treat like the alien like an animal. Mm-hmm. They treat it like it's something completely foreign and stuff. But in this, it's like they treat it like, you know, something that has territory and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I think like the reason why the monkey thing was put in there because like it just snaps, and I think that's kind of what happens with this thing where it's like it kind of is just and it has its territory, and eventually it got pissed off and it started just going ape shit. No pun intended, I guess, but
yeah, that was a really.
But
cool
I think that's the correlation because it is like, and the only real connection to it is that Steven Yeun's character was like there when it happened.
Yeah, and he's basically the one that was taunting the alien.
Yeah, so it's like he's using his insecurities of like being horrified as a child and like could have been killed by a fucking ape because he watched it like beat the shit out of like people, and you know the one lady survived, but she's like
her face is all ripped off.
But like using his essential like power over this greater being to make it like to feed his. Was that somebody at the door?
What was that? Was it a nope? Yeah.
But to have...
I think I heard a nope out there, mini-me.
A nope. To pretty much, like, be his, like, psychiatrist and stuff. To essentially, like, lord it over this thing that's, like, way bigger than him. So... but that's interesting, yeah, that you brought that up, because at the time, yeah, I could totally see that being like, what the fuck does this have to do with anything?
Cool. I like your interpretation.
But it's wrong. Like, shit!
I couldn't agree more. You nailed it.
I think it works in this film with, like, the son being the horse wrangler, and, like, that their whole family being, like, essentially, like, tied to being, like, essentially the family of first movie stars, and like because like their great grandfather or whatever was like he wrangled horses as well, and he like was on film and stuff with the first horse and for the first time, and they kind of go all the way back to that, and that like his family essentially works with animals, and that's kind of like the people that end up having to deal with this whole situation.
So what stuck out to me most watching it again was Daniel Kaluuya. His reactions to the fear situation were so different from any other horror movie, and I love that.
Well, he's not like screaming. He's just
not
kind of like
he's doing what like is realistic. What would really happen? Like he's like trying to figure out what's going on. Yeah, and it's right there in the title. Like he keeps saying nope. Like it's so different from
in kind of any other movie or like other movies, like it could have came off like, okay, that's stupid, like banter, but like in this it made sense where it's just a reaction. It's kind of like if you say something enough or whatever, like you don't even think about it, you know what I mean? Like I sometimes will see myself just saying something and I'm like just as a reaction to something, and that's like because everybody has their own tics and stuff that the way they react, but like, and that's I think what makes it so realistic, and I think that's what makes like the interactions and like the dialogue and like everybody acting together realistic is because everybody seems like a unique character, and they're not all just kind of like one character that's in different like shades of a personality and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like they come together and they work, as humans, but they're not all like, from the same. They're not all cut from the same cloth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially the scene where he's in the van or whatever, and the stuff keeps like raining down.
Yeah,
he's not really doing anything. He's like trying to like hunker down and get through it.
Yeah,
and I was like, I thought that was so interesting. And different.
He's really good. I've seen him in other
great.
stuff too, and I like him. Actually, there's not really anybody in the film that I don't like as far as like acting.
I was pissed that they killed off Keith David instantly. Like, come on,
that was like
too soon.
At least like the movie was good. Unlike when we saw Godzilla and they killed off Bryan Cranston, and that movie ended up being a steaming pile of fucking poodoo. Stephen Yeun was great in this. I always like him in everything I see him in, and he's gone on to do a lot of like great voice work as well. But that's like somebody that's like leveraged their like time on The Walking Dead to like max effect, man. Like he's doing great, and hopefully he's in more stuff because he plays like his character really well in this too. Is like somebody that's definitely still dealing with, like, he's trying to own what happened to him as a kid, but like deep down he's still like that same like terrified kid, and he still has like essentially like war flashbacks and stuff.
I thought it was interesting when he was describing the SNL scene.
Yeah, with Chris Kattan being the fucking monkey when he played like Peepers, the monkey. I was cracking up.
He's like talking about how awesome it is, but you can tell it's like a phony defense mechanism.
It's essentially, instead of talking about how it was like or what happened, he talks about this alternate, world, this is an alternate thing where SNL did a skit about like that Gordy's house or whatever. And Chris Kattan.
Bad taste, SNL.
Bad
People
taste.
were killed.
That is kind of fucked up, though, if they were to actually... I'd be like, well. They did do something like that, though, with, like, the Menendez brothers, didn't they? And I was like...
And Bobbit.
Bobbitt's, like, a little bit different,
Yeah,
I mean, but, like, fucking... The Menendez brothers killed their fucking parents. OJ, like, trying to do the job after his dad dies, just like, he's not a people person, and like his sister is like the exact opposite of him. She's like totally a people person. She is very outgoing and stuff, and it's funny because like it's very realistic, because the brother and sister dynamic is one of those things where, like, he does what he wants, but he's not opposed to doing something she suggests, like a real relationship, you know what I mean? But he has trouble going out of his way to like do certain things, like when he starts trying to give the speech before she gets there, and it's like he can't do it, you know what I mean? He's just not good at it, and then she shows up, and it's like, she knows exactly.
Almost too good.
Yeah. But, like, I thought it was also weird. They had, like, a time here where they're talking about how, like, some people wanted to spend the night in that room that he had, which is, like, a shrine to Gordy's house or whatever. And I was just like, did they have, like, beds? Like, could they go to the bathroom if they wanted to? Like, I don't know. I just thought that was weird.
You're asking questions that need to be asked.
That's true.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. He locked him in and they shit their pants instantly.
This movie's awesome because it was shot on film and it's like epic looking. I really wish I would have seen this in theaters. Like, what a missed opportunity, because like there's so many big like epic shots.
Well, it's like on film, like watching this, like the blacks are so black. Like at night, it's like
it looks like a real movie.
Yeah.
Unlike most digitally made movies these days, it looks like TV.
Well, it's also like it really depends on how you grade it too, and a lot of people, I don't think they understand like, how to do that. But like this was just so, it's like you can tell when a film was shot also with intent, because it's like, the Carpenter films are like that too,
super polished and like glossy. It was cool they built this like Western town, Jupiter's claim
Yeah.
or whatever. Like, that was cool. They actually built that.
Yeah.
Like, sweet.
Ghost runs off, and that's when you kind of first see like the thing or whatever it is, where it like at night it like kind of goes up real fast, and you're like, and he sees it, and he's like, you know, and that's when he's like, kind of tells his sister like, I don't know what it is, and she's like, tell me you know. It was like pretty much they're essentially saying like the only thing it could be was like a UFO. And I thought it was kind of cool how she believed him, and she wasn't just like, this is bullshit, and she had to see it for herself. Like, that's something like, I've never seen something like that, but if like you told me like, oh, I saw like a fucking Bigfoot, or if I saw like a UFO, I'd believe you, because you don't go around like bullshitting, you know what I mean? I trust you. But it's like that kind of relationship. Yeah. So it was like, it's realistic.
Oh, this isn't a sitcom. Nice.
A shitcom. I thought that like in some aspects, like the main character, like he was able to actually kind of sound like his dad, like Keith David, which I thought was interesting. And I don't know if that like was, I'm assuming like he did that, if anything, but I just thought it's not all the time, but it's like when he yells or his voice gets kind of deeper, he sounds like his dad, which I was like,
yeah,
that's
very believable.
Yeah.
I also like the way he wears his hat.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen someone wear a hat like that. Is so high on his head. I'm like, dude, he invented like a new way.
It was like, so they go to like get all these cameras to try to capture it, and like the Geek Squad guy was like, I can come and install it, and they're like, no, and then he like just is there and installs it anyway. So I don't know if I missed something, or like he
no,
just
I think
kind of
he's just a pushy
he
character.
just did it anyway.
He did it anyway.
He's like, set up my trick. He's like, my girlfriend left me. She booked her role in the CW. Fucking CW. I don't know. That was just such a random line. I was cracking up that like his girlfriend was just like, I found a role on CW. Fuck you. I'm like, what?
That's another cool aspect of this movie, is like it's kind of about movie making too,
yeah,
which is, you know, adds another layer of coolness.
It's funny that they also talk about like the phenomenon of like where they, you know, you're not supposed to call it a UFO anymore, it's a UAP. And he goes over all the timely stuff where it's like, oh, they declassified all these things, you know, from the government, and you know, the theories of what aliens are and stuff like that. And I thought that was interesting stuff, because it kind of just adds a layer of like this being grounded in realism, because that stuff all, you know, kind of happened IRL, like as far as like the government saying this or that. I mean, I'm not going to go into whether or not I think any of that shit that they talked about was real, but like as far as like, you know, the events happening, I thought that was interesting that they actually put that in here.
Yeah.
I also thought it was funny. She steals like the horse training thing from Steven Yeun's place, and like he comes over and it's just like, oh, we got one just like that or whatever. And it's like he's such a pushover, he didn't even like try to come and see if it was his. It was like, but this is kind of when you find that like whatever this thing is like has an effect on like electricity, so it like has like an EMP field around it where it turns stuff around, turns it off. And I think that's another thing that like you don't really see that too often. I mean, it happens, but it's not too often in like these horror films where it also just turns the power off wherever it goes. But I think that's like something that the lights being turned off, or like, you know, the power just going out, is definitely like a horror cliche. Yeah. But it's something that like is done differently in this.
Yeah, it's used well.
Interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
I was actually, one of the scariest parts in this was like something that just ended up being a joke, where like he goes out to see these like see what's going on in the barn, and like an alien fucking peeks its face around the corner, and I was like, what the fuck?
That was like one of the scariest scenes I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
like it was.
It reminded me of that like part in what's it called?
Communion.
No, Commune. I don't think I've seen that.
I think they probably were homaging that, but that's the one with Christopher Walken where he's in a cabin and like a gray like peeks out from exactly like one of them does here.
I was thinking of Signs or whatever.
Oh yeah. But this was so well done and scary. I was like,
he's like, he just does that, and I'm like, holy shit. But yeah, like,
but that's the first time he reacts like, nope.
Yeah, like, and then another, because like what happens is he sees the first one and he's trying to kind of film it, but then another one peeks out closer to him, and that's when he's like, nope. But I was like freaking the fuck out,
was terrifying.
And then, dude, that's a scene that just ends up being like kids, like Stephen Young's like kids in a fucking like Halloween costumes or whatever. But that was like. Almost, I think that was probably the scariest part of this whole fucking film for me, and it was a fucking joke. I was like, I think it's like that's how good that he is at doing horror. That like that was just kind of like a little thing done for tension and stuff, and it wasn't even tying to what the things the actual thing was like horrifying. Bugs on security camera scares sister and me as well. Praying mantis got me.
Yeah.
So essentially, like, you find out this thing is in the clouds or whatever, and it's like, what the fuck is going on here? Because they find that out because like the dude has been watching the cameras all like a lot, like the time lapse, and he's like, this one cloud hasn't like moved, and that's kind of fucked up. But you're like, yeah. And that's when they're like, what if it's not an alien ship? What if it's actually like that's the fucking alien is the thing?
That's not a craft,
right?
It's a beast.
Yeah, which is like, it's just so out there that like, I don't really remember too many where it's literally just been like that's the thing. It's
they
like
did a
so
great job of
unique.
making a unique alien, which is super hard to do.
Yeah.
Nailed it. I love the way it moves around too, because he's like, it doesn't move like a ship.
Yeah.
It's very like creepy and unsettling.
Yeah.
The way it moves around.
And since there are like clouds everywhere, it's able to essentially kind of like do like Predator, where it essentially disappears, but it's more so like it just camouflages in.
So the scene where Stephen Yeun is like giving the demonstration.
Yes.
This exemplifies my one real criticism of this movie. I think it's too long, and there are many scenes that drag a little bit that could have been trimmed, I think. Because like he gives this speech, and it keeps going on and on and on, and at one point he even says, "As I said, you will be changed." I'm like, dude, no movie character should ever say "as I said," because he already said it. I'm like, it's too long and it drags a bit. That's I think it could be tightened up, maybe cut out like 20 minutes. Be rocking roller coaster.
I don't know about that. I think it's fine.
All right.
Which is weird because like I'm usually somebody that's down to like cut stuff, and I don't think it like it needs to be cut. I just think that like I don't know. This film actually gives like tension very well and stuff, which I think that like I can't really complain about. Because right before and right after this is like something that's like it builds the tension and stuff, and then it eventually pays off with it.
Yeah, I agree.
One thing that they do have in this that I wish that they would have more of is icy machines.
Yeah, those are looking.
I actually haven't like had an icy in like forever. I just saw it and I was like, man, it looks pretty good.
That's another example. Like we saw those icy machines a lot. Maybe trim a couple of those out, move this thing along.
It was actually just one icy machine.
It made an impact.
You're not trying to backdoor your hoax theory into this. Co-star in My First Crush, and it's like her face is veiled because she was mauled, and not like a shopping way.
She had become a ghoul.
It was like she turned into like a ghoul from Fallout. She was like, "Hey guys, what's up?" And I'm like, "Holy shit, your face." He's like, "I saw a flying saucer being surveilled by an alien species. I call the viewers." And it's like, okay, how stupid is this idiot, dude? He's like feeding this thing horses. Like, not only that, but it's like, why is he doing this? Like, just for money? Like, I mean, so people can see this, I guess, but like, Also, like, I was kind of surprised that, like, he was shocked that they came early. Like, what? I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
that was kind of the thing where I was like, what? Like, oh, they're early this week, or today. And I'm like...
Also, when all those people were murdered...
you mean sucked up
Yeah.
and, like, going to hell, and he's just standing there, and somehow he's not sucked up first?
But even, like, the media reactions to that was pretty nonchalant. You know,
He was just like...
if that happened in real life...
Dude, I'd be running like a motherfucker.
Front page news.
Also, like, I would never... Well, also, like, well... How would anybody know? Because everybody got killed.
Yeah, if there's a mass disappearance, I think it would be
Whoa,
more of a
it
news
was.
item. I know. But I'm saying there was, like, no reaction to that by the media. They're like, eh.
Well, I mean, they
It's a
didn't really,
mystery.
well, they didn't really show any media in the film. They showed, like, the TMZ guy, so I think, like, there probably was, but they just never showed it. Like, the closest we get to that is, like you said, like, you know, for, like, there being media representation is, like, when the TMZ guy shows up later to try to get some, like, stuff because he knows that something went down or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, yeah. I guess for whatever reason they decided to not show, like, the media side on the film. I don't know what that was. That was fucked up, though, when they got, like, sucked up in that thing.
That was very effective.
Fucking weird.
That's one of the scarier things in the movie is, like, sometimes you hear like, distant screaming of
Yeah.
people being, like, horribly killed. I'm like, dude.
Yeah. Which I'm assuming it was, like, the Sarlacc pit where they're getting, like, digested
Yep.
by, like, this goop or something. Yeah, I just thought it was weird that, like, I mean, I don't know, like, for me, I guess I'm a little different, but, like, with Steven Yeun, like, being, like, he's been doing this and stuff, but it's, like, wouldn't he make, like, way more fucking money by, like, I don't know, like, selling the rights to, like, the discovery of the fucking creature or something than, like, buying a fucking horse, which is expensive, feeding a horse to this thing, and, like, charging whatever he's charging to see it? Like, not only that, but, like, obviously he probably thinks this isn't just, like, a regular animal, and this is probably an alien or something, so, like, why the fuck was he fucking with that? Like, this guy was crazy, I guess. I mean, that's probably...
He didn't have a good plan.
It was the rise of, fucking Gordy's friend.
Yeah.
He turned into a fucking Joker in this film. I didn't think it was funny how it got everything but the horse.
Yeah, the horse is just chilling.
Yeah. Because it was in, like, this plexiglass. Yeah. Man, I would have been fucking running. Instead, like, Steven Yeun's just like, I see what I see. So, the life form is spitting out blood and all kinds of nasty shit with stuff that people had on them. Like keys.
Undigestible.
Yeah. He's like, your life forms...
And it turned out that would be his undoing.
That's true.
But yeah, the blood rain scene was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like sucking the shit out of like the freaking like, or wait, no, it was spitting, not sucking. It was sucking. It was like spitting all this shit up, and like it was like the it was funny the next day when the filmmaker guy shows up and the whole house is just like red.
There's a wheelchair on your roof.
Yeah.
Dude, so when Michael Wincott shows up in this movie, I'm like, yes!
That guy's voice was legit as hell, dude.
He is awesome and should be in way more movies. But he was great in this, as always. He's also great in The Crow, remember?
Yeah.
But I love that dude, and I was very happy to see him show up in this movie.
Yeah, he's great. His voice was legit.
Just the fact that, like, Peele cast him tells you, like, he gets it.
He understood the assignment.
He did.
As he would say. Yeah, like, so this is when you kind of find out it's an extraterrestrial animal. An ETA. And this was really cool because the what's it called? Like the dude is essentially like Spielberg in this film, like the you know, whoever he plays, what's he play? Like
Antlers Holst.
yeah, he plays like this director guy. He comes up with like a non-electric camera where he's like, woo! He just does that. It's essentially like an old camera, I guess. And then he starts talking about one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater.
That was another one where I was like, you probably that scene, dude. It was okay. He's got a great voice, so I'll allow it, but watch yourself, counselor.
Kill me. Jean Jacket. That's when they start calling, like, because they start... This is when they kind of flip from alien to, like, trying to... Like, they're treating it like an animal.
Mm-hmm.
And so they name it. And it's like, this is when they kind of... Even though it ends up turning into, like, as powerful as it's been, because it, like, transforms at one point into its, like, true form, I guess. Like, I feel like this is the part of the film where it has the least amount of power, in my eyes. Because they've put a name to it, and they're treating it like, essentially, like, another, like, a horse or something they're trying to tame, or trying to, like, outsmart or whatever. And that's when I was kind of like, okay, this is, you know, this is smart, because usually in a film like this, like, it would be like, it's unknowing, we can't do shit against it, you know, but like here it was just like,
and they put together a plan that's smart and like makes sense in terms of the movie. So
right.
You're like, okay.
Right, it was something that like
they have a chance.
I didn't know what they were doing, but when they finally did it, I was like, what are they doing with all those things? Are those distractions? But then it's like they're to show where it is.
Yeah, it was cool.
I was like, dude, holy shit. Like, using, like, inflatable waving guys to, like, test where he is and stuff, because it would kill the feed wherever it was. And it's like, dude, this is really smart.
And it's just a cool image. Like, I've never seen that in a movie before. It just looks cool.
It's like, I guess we haven't really talked about it, but the creature is, like, obviously CG and stuff. But, like, that's it. They do so much with, like, so little with, like, certain things in this. Like that, where it's like... that's like you don't even it's like going back to Jaws, where they have like the little bobber and you see it like you know, the audience does all the work. It's like
treating us like we're smart.
What'd you think about the TMZ guy that shows up and fucking falls and like kills himself?
He had a cool helmet.
He was like, yeah. My thing was like, I thought that helmet was like, I was like, does he know, like, because they were talking about don't look it in the eye, and I was like, how would he, like, at first I thought maybe he had that because of that, but, like, how the fuck would he even know that?
Yeah.
So it was just a coincidence, I guess.
Yeah, maybe, like, just a visual callback, or something like that. But yeah, I thought the same thing.
This line, no way that dude's fucking living, because he, like, falls off, like, he's going really fast on his electric bike, and it hits the field, and he's like, yeah!
But then cut to him like, help me!
Yeah, he's like, murder me! He's like, help! And then he just gets killed anyway. Because the guy tries to help him, and he's just like, no, not without my camera. And he's just like, and he's like, sorry, and he just rides off.
Out of time.
Yeah. I have a note that says, besides Jaws, I think this is the most like intense monster creature, as far as like the suspense. It's kind of because it's very Jaws like, where it's like,
yeah, for sure.
Shit.
I actually didn't have the Jaws connection until he actually said it, and I was like, oh.
I felt that totally when I was watching it because of the way that.
But I liked how once the alien reveals its like true self.
Yeah.
They didn't try to make it scary. It becomes more like
beautiful.
Yeah,
it becomes elegant. Yeah,
that was so different and like because interesting.
It has like, I was like, holy shit. But and in the end, it's actually quite weak. You know what I mean? But it's strong, but it's also like weak. It's essentially like an animal. It's you know.
It's like a delicate
flower.
Yeah.
Floating on the wind.
But that was mind blowing when it turned from like a saucer shape into like a weird flower.
Yeah.
I was like, didn't see that coming.
So did Michael Wincott like have fucking something wrong with him, or did he have like fucking cancer?
He decided to die.
He fucking committed suicide for no fucking reason. He saw this thing and was like so moved that he was like, we don't deserve the impossible shot, and so he like took his camera and like went to hell. That shot though was legit, where he was like, ah.
That was cool.
Yeah, and it reminded me of like something like Cloverfield, where it's like first person, but it was actually, you could see what was going on. It was cool because it was like he goes up in the air, and the last thing you see before it cuts out is like him about to go into the thing, and I was like, dude, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Which I guess that means they got the footage eventually to put into this movie. So yeah, the way it gets taken down is it essentially eats this hot air mascot, or hot, I don't know, yeah, like this thing that was at the Jupiter's claim or whatever, that like the sister goes over and like lets loose, and it goes up, and the thing like turns, and it's just like trying to like posture to it like a peacock, and then it just says fuck this and like goes over top of it and eats it, but the balloon goes inside of it and like blows up, and it fucking kills it.
It popped like a balloon.
It inflated itself just like a balloon. This alien has a funny face. It's like,
But by the time we're like up in the clouds and that
Yeah.
weird balloon's floating there, I'm like, this isn't even scary. It's just like amazing imagery.
yeah.
It's like spectacular and beautiful.
it's
awesome.
like it's like in Jaws, you don't feel bad for the creature, but in this, like, you actually do. I felt like at the end, because it was like they do.
It was a victim of circumstance.
But it turns the corner, which is like, how masterful can you be to like. And I didn't feel like I was mad at the people either. It's not like I was like, they're the villains. There was no like villain in this, except for maybe Stephen Yeun. But like, to me, there was no like, you know, they fucked up or they did this wrong or whatever. It was, you know, it's kind of like when you've got like a man-eating tiger out on the savannah. Like, it's doing what it's supposed to do, but you can't let it go around fucking killing humans.
Same thing with Gordy. Like, he was terrifying when he was like raging, but then at the end he's like fist bump. Like,
Yeah, there's your connection. Yeah, for sure, man.
A couple other notes. The sound in this movie is awesome.
Yeah.
Like the alien noises and stuff is like, again, made me wish I had seen this in a nice theater.
He's like, "Oh, you ready?"
Then they included on the disc
Mm-hmm.
the scene of the monkey attack, but without the CG. So it was just the dude, like the raw footage, and I really appreciate that because it was just fun to see that.
You're like, this is legit.
Yeah, it was really.
That was another thing.
It was by Terry Notary. He's like the #1 monkey movement guy in movies. Like he did all the. He was Caesar in Planet of the
so he
Apes
did like
and,
the mocap or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anytime
Nice.
there's a monkey, he's like the #1 dude. So.
Besides like Andy Serkis and Golem. Or I guess didn't he do like Kong or whatever, or King Kong?
He did.
Yeah. He's like, hey. What if King Kong did that? Andy Serkis, he was like, I'd be like, holy shit, dude, he smiled. So OJ on his horse shows up at the end like a true hero.
Yep. It's like a Western.
I thought that was really
gunslinger.
cool. It kind of reminded me of like something like Blazing Saddles. I was like, dude, that movie's awesome. And I just put, what a film.
Yeah, it was great.
What a film, what a magic.
I give it an 8.95.
Nice.
Only thing holding it back, see my previous criticisms.
I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I want to give it like, I guess like a 9.95, but I don't know when the next time I'll watch this again is. So if there was something between like an 8.95 and a 9.95, that'd be like as close as to a 9.95 as it'd get for me. Great film. I don't have any complaints about it. I just watched it, so I probably won't watch it again in a while. But
I think it's my favorite of the 3 that he's made so far. So,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I liked them all equally. I thought they were all like really good.
I thought they were all good. I like Get Out a lot. I think Us was really good, except the main character, like, she does that thing. I don't know if you remember, but she makes a weird choice that I thought was pretty disastrous. But we'll talk about that. So.
Okay. I thought they were all great. Exactly the same. We don't have... Well, not exactly the same.
They're exactly the same.
As far as how good they were, in my opinion. I'm always down for Jordan Peele or whatever to do whatever the fuck he wants.
Damn style.
Yeah. He's like, what in the game? Yeah.
Cool.
I think that's pretty much it. I don't really
Yeah.
have anything else to say. So next week we're going to be doing The Thing from 1982. John Carpenter's The Thing, which we talked about him.
A remake?
Yeah.
We talked about him. What do you mean? We're going to talk about him.
What?
We're going to talk about John Carpenter.
That's what I said.
Okay.
We talked about him on this episode.
You didn't catch my joke.
Jokes are funny, right?
Jokes are natural. Jokes are fun.
Jokes are best when they're funny for your son. I'm like, I was just thinking about that where he's just like, we're going to become Tim's sons now. Yeah, so next week we're going to be talking about The Thing from 1982. And we're going to be talking about John Carpenter. Or actually, we already did.
What?
Do we have a special guest coming though? Do you know?
I don't know. Future events are impossible to predict in the future.
Yeah, we have a special guest.
Nice.
Our friend John, who's it'll be his first time on the podcast as a guest.
Will he do a great job?
I guess we'll see. Because
I don't know.
Yeah, we have no clue. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We enjoyed both films.
Yeah, it was a great week.
You should definitely watch both of them whenever you get a chance, obviously.
Now!
Now that this is over, go watch those films and report back. Tell us in the comments, actually. I'd love to. That's one thing that I don't really I don't really say call to action, but that's something that I think I need to start doing is I want to hear what people think about the films and stuff that we watch.
Definitely.
Because, I guess if you thought we were full of shit or you thought you agree with
Tell me what
us,
the hell's going on in Black Rainbow.
Yeah, seriously.
I need to know.
Tell me.
I'm losing sleep at night.
Tell me why.
Thinking about the weird movie.
I'm like, tell me why ain't nothing but a horn. Yeah, seriously, tell me what the fuck was going on. And tell me if movies are best one-on-one.
All right.
Okay.
You nailed it. Until next time. Nope. I finally escaped the clutches of the podcast. Wait, what is...
I've been watching you podcast. You're so perfect when you podcast. It's alright. Come to me. Come to me. Comic! I don't even know if that makes any sense.
It would be too shocking for audiences. Whoa. I can't believe I finally escaped the podcast. Anyway, what's that? That's gonna be hilarious.
It's alright. It's okay. Damn it, okay. I can't say that. Come back!
Nice.
You're so awesome. Okay. Okay, I'm not gonna look you up and down this way. You're so perfect when you podcast.
Nice, something like that. Instead of it's so beautiful while you sleep.
It's like, I'm like, Matt, it's so beautiful when you sleep. I'm like, it's like whenever we go on a trip, I just look over your bed and I'm like,
that Tim Heidecker song, I dare you to watch me sleep.
I'm like, it's the Cinco night sleeper or whatever, where I'm like journaling down. I'm like, oh, he's having a nightmare. He's like, I'm bad. That's pure gold. Damn it! I didn't turn it around. Fuck.
Dude, I wish I would have kept track of that happening every week. Somehow, because that would be hilarious.
I don't have the footage.
You get angrier and angrier each time it happens.
Well, it's because it's like bullshit.